Hello everybody, this is Mark from M&D, the overarching company for Captain's Gold Maple Syrup and Honey. Today I wanted to talk to you about a fairly low-cost way to make your own tubing tool. This is a tubing tool that's used to attach various components of your sap line, including your tap, your T, and your end pieces. And this is a double tubing tool typically used to join this little guy, this one here, to attach this guy to a sap line coming down from the tree. This is a single tubing tool, and I am pretty convinced that these things will run you 200 plus in the store or online from a dealer. I made mine for that one for less than 50 bucks, the double, and this one probably less than that. I mean, one of your bigger expenses is going to be finding a welder, unless you're good at welding. So I used a local welder, and I think I paid him 25 or 30 bucks to do a couple spot welds. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about some of the tools that you'll need and materials. So I basically took this metal stock from Home Depot. I got some angle iron, and then this is a 3/4 inch by 3/16 inch piece of steel. And we'll just talk about the double tubing tool here. You're going to need, well, if you have the tools to do it, I used an angle grinder. Very handy tool around the house. If you don't want to become blind, wear these, and any hearing protection, highly recommended. So before I get started with that, I want to kind of describe to you how I thought I could do this. So I built a prototype out of some sticks of wood because I wanted to really see if I could mimic the fulcrum action. And as you can see, when I close these together, the key thing would be to this space in here to be parallel and remain parallel throughout the clamping, because as I'll show you with the tubing tool, that's a pretty important thing. So once I built my prototype, I decided to go ahead and use the metal. Now all this stuff was obtainable at Home Depot. I got these vice grips either at Harbor Freight or Menards or Home Depot. I don't know, $7 a piece, or you can go pretty cheap on those. Some other parts, just some screws, some washers under here. This threaded rod, this was one of the more tricky parts. I'll explain that in a minute, but probably less than 15 bucks just in materials. The welding, like I said, can cost you 25, upwards of 50 bucks, depending on who you can get to do it for you. Anyway, so first thing I did was I cut these rods. This is a 36 inch piece, so these are about 18 a piece, I believe, 18 inches long. And drilled a hole through the middle of them so I could create the scissors effect. Okay, now that distance there to there, I think it's about a third of the distance up. Now you can use your best judgment on that. The next thing I did was took the angle iron. This is about a 9-inch piece of angle iron. And the only thing I did is I took the angle iron and I cut these slots in it. Now this is a little bit tricky, but you know, it's now the one thing that I was not able to do, and you might be able to do it if you have a metal shop or you have advanced tools or you have an anvil or something like that where you could heat up this bar. But in essence, the way that these things are typically designed, they kind of come like this and down, and that creates a better scissor action. So if you're able to bend it in a couple places, that would really help. You can, if you have questions on what I'm saying, look online or look a picture and you'll see it's kind of bent. But I found this sufficient to work. And the hardest part, I would say, is cutting these threaded rods. Now I think these measure about a 1/2 inch across. You can buy them again at any home center. I do not recall. I have to go back and look to see what this thread is, but you want it small enough to grasp the tubing. This is the tubing I'm talking about here. I use 3/16 inch tubing for all my taps. I don't use 5/16. If you use 5/16, you're going to want a bigger or wider threaded rod. And then I got it built, the angle. I got these rods put on. I gave the welder the 2 vice grips, and as you can see, he welded it on with a lot of metal, about 1/3 of the way in. So basically what's going to happen here, and give me a second, I'm going to set up this camera to show you this.